Hi, this is John Green with Rogers Athletic. Today we're going to illustrate in this video how to properly assemble a Rogers Zone Chute. We have removed the chute from its packaging material and we've laid it out accordingly on how we want to assemble it properly. Here you'll see the end frame where the casters go. These are the chute tops. In the middle here we have the trussing system, which is very intricate to the chute. We have laid out and assorted our bolts. The tools that will be required in today's operation will be 2 3/4 inch wrenches and 2 9/16 wrenches. That's all we'll need. Now that we've done all this, we're ready to assemble the chute. Okay, the first step in assembling the chute, we have to turn the end piece upside down so it can receive the caster. We're going to line it up with the top hole in the caster using a 3/4 inch shoulder bolt. And these are the end pieces are the only place where we're going to use 3/4 inch bolts. And for those who have electric drills, that's a bonus. Okay, next. All right, the next phase of this assembly is going to be, we're going to put the galvanized height adjustment piece into the end frame. One of the critical parts is that these holes with these extra weldments here need to face the truss. Okay, we've got that complete, and then we'll go to the other end and do the same thing. All right, the next phase of assembling the zone chute is going to be the truss system. Depending on whether you got a 16-foot zone chute or a 40-foot zone chute, each truss is 8 foot long and will require 5 9/16 nuts and bolts at each intersection. Okay, so make sure your trusses are lined up. You're going to get 2 at the top, 1 in the middle, and then 2 in the bottom. Wrong hole, folks. There you go. And we want to make sure these are flush and make sure these holes are flush as well, as we will need those to be in the next part of the assembly. Okay, the next phase of the assembly is where it's going to start. Chute's going to start showing its weight. I've got 2 bolts here in the top of the adjustment arm, and now we're going to connect the truss to the end frame. Okay, now we'll put the rest of our bolts in. Okay, so just to clarify what we've done so far, we had the truss completely assembled laying on the ground. We had the end frame completely assembled laying on the ground. And we married the two by getting a few guys to help us lift this truss, bring the end frame to us, and then we inserted the 5 bolts that we needed. Now that we have this end complete and secured, before we go work on the other end, as you can see the trusses on this angle, we're going to want to lock the casters so this end doesn't move on us. Okay, we're at the other end now of the chute, and again we're just going to repeat the process. We have the truss completely assembled, we have the end frame assembled, and now we're going to connect it to a couple of bolts at the top first, and then we'll put the other 3 in to secure it. All right, we've got the frame pretty much assembled here. Now the last part of the frame is going to be the chute tops. We're going to use clevis pins and these non-threaded rollers. The short one, there's going to be 2 in your kit. The short one goes in the end of each one next to the galvanized tube. Okay, and now we'll start assembling those right now. Get the little one. That's okay, brother. Clipping it. All right, now that we got our first one up, do not put a circlip on that end because we have to get the next top onto this piece right here. The next top will go onto there. Okay, here on the last one, keep in mind that the short clevis pin will go on your end. Again, the short one goes on that end. Now that we have the chute tops all on the assembly frame, we are now going to connect all the chute tops together on each side with these shoulder bolts. Now these chute tops are designed all the same, so there's no right or wrong in putting these up. They're all identical, so it does not matter which one you start with or which one you finish with. They're all the same. And that includes the trussing as well. The trussing is all the same. All right, we're getting in the final phase of final assembly of the metal material here. The next part of this is going to be to assemble the angle adjustment of the chute top. We're going to have our arc, 2 side assembly pieces, a carriage bolt, a washer with a square in it, and a handle. And we'll show you how these go on properly. Take the side supports, and they will go against the black metal frame. And notice we have the head of the bolt on the outside. That way it won't impede any progress of our angle adjustment. Next, we're going to take our thicker washer with the square. We're going to plug it in right over here on this side. Taking our carriage bolt with the square as well, threading it through that nut. And then our adjustment handle just goes in and screws on to our carriage bolt. Okay, again, no tool is required for this part of the assembly. Again, right there is secured. Right now, our top, not gonna move. Okay. Again, if you want to rotate the top, just loosen it, and then you can rotate the top for whatever pitch or whatever angle you want to run your drills at. Or you can just leave it at the flat right there. Again, and secure it again right there, as it is secured. All right, we're in the final phase of our chute assembly. We're to the top. We've taken our assembly cords, we have decorated the ground with them. The next part we're going to do is we're going to stretch the top out. We're going to start at one end and get it flush with the top, and then we're going to work our way down. Once we have the top stretched out and laid under the chute, you want to make sure that the white tag is the top part of the chute. We're going to unlock the chute right now. Okay, again, in this part of the chute, you want to make sure that you start out flush on whatever end you start with. You want to make sure you're flush there. You can see the reason that we loosen the top so we can reach down and get the bungee. Secure it to the opposite side. As you can see, as we're working our way down, we're pulling the chute top, we're tightening the chute top to make sure we're consistent on both sides. So we have the same amount of reveal on each side. All right, again, appreciate you sticking with us throughout this video on assembly of the 40-foot zone chute. Again, let's just walk through some real quick adjustments on this. Again, to adjust the height, you're going to need several guys that hold onto this to lift it up prior to pulling the pin so you can adjust the height just because of the sheer weight of it. Okay, again, I have it locked right now and I'm unlocking it. Okay, so this will travel the radius of this arc. Okay, so if I have it up like this for a skelly drill for my quarterbacks to throw over, and I lock it down, one of the things that I want to point out that's critical is that this has so much mass to it that the wind on a windy day could possibly catch us and move this. So anytime you're storing it, we recommend and suggest that you keep it on this particular flat angle or some type of a pitch, but not on the 90-degree pitch. Other than that, chute's gonna work fine for you. If you can store it indoors during the winter months or when it's not in use, that's also highly recommended as well. If you have any other questions or comments, please contact us at rogersathletic.com.